Cause why? Makadi's venue, guys. Welcome to today's episode of Load Shedding, a show that focuses on current affairs pertaining to Africa. Today we shall be covering something rather controversial. My name is Kees Kibinda. So recently I was given the chance to go to Harare, Zimbabwe, and I jumped upon it. You see, I've been to Zimbabwe before, but I never really explored the capital. So this was the perfect opportunity. And I can tell you, I do not regret going. It was rain season, so everything was lush and green, or at least flowering, and it just gave a really nice vibe, you know. I just wanted to see also what it was true that people were saying about people really suffering down there. And mixed feelings. I mean, yeah, sure, things are not as great as they were, say, even 5 years ago, but people are getting by. Well, speaking of which, there was somebody I spoke to that seemed to have a different opinion of it. I met a local, for lack of better words, in this part called DZ, because I was walking around there, and he asked me, "Are you from here?" And I honestly told him, "No, I'm just looking around." And actually, what I saw was quite enheartening. You know, people were doing whatever they could to make money. So there's people welding doors or welding whatever. Some people even making wooden doors on the side or windows. People selling vegetables. So there was a lot of life. And he told me, "Well, welcome this to our part of the city. Welcome to DZ." And he said, "Well, this is my life, or I should say, almost life, because this is not really living." And that really broke my heart, because here you see people really trying to do whatever they can to make money and still kind of unhappy with their situation. Which brings me to my story, because there are people living amongst them that are really abusing the faith of these people. And I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm actually talking about the pastors. Now imagine this. There was this live radio program with the guest being Mfumo, the 39-year-old founder of By the Grace Ministries, and on air, live, he gets confronted by this lady with her husband who say that he raped this lady. Right after the radio show, Alber gets arrested by the police. He's charged with having raped 3 of his female congregants at his prayer room in New Canaan Highfield, Harare. Bail has been set at $100 with the court case being set for the 2nd of February of this year. Now, there were some conditions set towards his being set free. He is not to interfere with any of the state witnesses. He's supposed to reside at the residence he had given up as his address, and he had to come to the police station every Friday. So he would call these ladies into his prayer room one at a time, and he would pray for them. And the theme of the prayer was breaking the chains of poverty. Sounds awesome, doesn't it? Well, it starts off pretty normal with him starting to pray, but then it gets weird. He would splash cooking oil on them and then proceed to have some kind of sexual intercourse with them against their consent. Now, were this to be an isolated case, I really wouldn't make such a big deal out of this. But that's the thing, it's not. You see, people are not doing so well, and therefore they're turning to their faith, because you can choose. You can either turn to your faith or you can turn to drugs. And these people chose the noble thing. They want to get through it with their faith, the belief that God has something better out there for them. And then these pastors are abusing it. They're springing up churches in any place possible. Even in open fields, they just throw a white cloth over a tree and they huddle themselves in white. And then they have a parish or a congregation or whatever you want to call it, a session right out there in the open. And then these sick pastors are just abusing these people right there and then. Now, there is a way of catching these churches that are actually businesses in disguise, and that is with these lavish names that they seem to bestow upon themselves. I mean, take this one, for example, RMG Endtime Message Church. What the hell does that even mean? Its founder, Robert Martin Gambura, was sentenced to 40 years in jail at the Chikurubi Maximum Prison in Harare, as he was found guilty of 4 counts of rape and 1 count of possession of pornographic material. He ran this church for over 30 years and managed to indoctrinate his following in the process. You see, he claimed that he could sleep with any woman, married or not, and that it was in fact he loaning out these women to their husbands. Even stranger is that it was believed that he could have direct conversation with God. Well, in honesty, everyone can, right? Because that's what prayer is all about. Walter Magaya is another pastor charged with rape. However, in his case, the rape charges were dropped, albeit mysteriously. You see, somebody had snuck into the judge's room whilst the judge was not there and quietly laid down the paper of withdrawal. Now, Walter Magaya seems to be a man with a lot of time on his hands as well, because he's also indulged in farming, and he's a shrewd one at that, because what he does is he grows anointed vegetables. He even tells his parish to come with the money a week in advance, and then he will come and bring the anointed vegetables. And he had two different types on two different occasions. On the first occasion, they were cucumbers, and he sold them for $5 each. On the other occasion, there were cobs of maize going at $10 a cob. Now, on the side of the road, one can get 4 maize cobs for $1 in Zimbabwe. So, quite a hefty fee, no? It's all in the name, right? Well, Prophet Sham Hungwe of Grace International Churches brings anointed pens to be sold in his shop at Machipisa Shopping Center. He has a shop where he sells anointed pens to help people pass with studying, because he believes that his pens will get people through their exams without having to study, because his pens are so anointed, so blessed by God, that they will do that job themselves. And he sells them between $1 to $20. Oh, wow. So there you have it. Running a successful church in Zimbabwe can be a very lucrative business. And I'm glad to say that the tax authorities are taking a closer look at this, and I do hope that they get to the bottom of this and really weed out all the fake churches. I mean, there's a very successful pastor in Zimbabwe that has his own private jet, doesn't even live in the country, he lives in South Africa, just jets in to a church that he built which seats 30,000 people, and just comes there to give his service and goes back. And then he also claims to do miracles, but in reality these are just tricks, magic tricks that people fall for because they're desperate, and I don't think they should be taken advantage of. So guys, there you have it. This was my controversial topic of today. You can subscribe to me on YouTube and on Facebook. You can join me or follow me on Twitter, and I hope to see you next week. Please, if you have any contributions as to topics or how I can improve, let me know below, in the box below, or send me a message. Thank you very much. My name is Kees Kibinda. God bless.